Ezekiel 23, verse 2. Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother. Verse 3. And they committed whoredom in Egypt. They committed whoredom in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Yekakadash. Now, this video is about Eve marrying the serpent. Now, when you think about the thumbnail and this so-called Negro woman who in real life married the so-called dragon, the serpent, it goes along with the whole nation. It's like an allegory to the whole nation of Israel's women being married to the serpent. Now, especially the 2/3, the women that's a part of the 2/3. But let's break down how they're married to this serpent and his beast, like Beauty and the Beast. 1 Corinthians chapter 14. And most people know where I'm going. 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Let's see here. Starting at verse starting at verse 33, it says, For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. 34, Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also says the law. 35, this is the point. And if they learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for the women to speak in the church. So let the woman learn from their husband? Oh, okay. So when Eve was in the garden, who did she learn from? Which knowledge did she choose? You see, she chose the knowledge of the serpent. And this is the same situation we're dealing with our women in Babylon the Great. Their husband is Esau, the so-called white man, and the Satan, the adversary of God, the devil, the deceiver. This is his kingdom. And see, he has rulership and dominion over the women, and especially even the women of Israel, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American women. Now when you jump back over to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. It says, In whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, shall shine unto them. So this serpent has blinded the minds of the women, the daughters of Zion. See, their minds are blinded because he's teaching them. See, They're not letting their husbands, most of them have Israelite husbands, and they're not listening to their husband's doctrine. The husband is not teaching them, or the men of Israel is not teaching these women. And they're rejecting the teachings that's coming from the men of Israel. So they are married to the beast, the serpent, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You see, say if a woman should learn anything, let them ask their husband, and so that the husband of these daughters of Zion is the so-called white man. And so, let's see here. Let me get that Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 3, it say, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people do not consider. You see, these daughters of Zion, they don't consider where they come from. They don't consider doing the research of their lineage from God. See, they getting the information or the knowledge of their lineage from the serpent, the so-called white man. See, that's the knowledge that they're receiving. And when they're hearing the men of Israel tell them where they descend from, they reject it. And so this is what's going on. Now, when you look at verse 8 of chapter 1, it says, and the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in the vineyard, as a loft in the garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. See, she has been besieged by the serpent. And so this is why the Most High had to pick his men and give his men the spirit so they can further on the kingdom, because the women are totally held captive by the serpent. And so let's get one more verse to show how these women is totally on the serpent's side. Now, 2 Timothy, let's see here. I'm still in 1 Timothy. 2 Timothy 3. 2 Timothy 3, verse 6, it say, for this sort are they which creep into houses, and led captive women, silly women, laden with sin. And see, that's what's happened to the daughters of Zion. They have been held captive like a besieged city, and they are married to the serpent. Now, when you besiege the city in Jerusalem, you would shave the woman's hair off and give her a month to grieve for her parents, and she would become your wife, and you can go into her. And that's exactly what happened to the daughters of Zion. They are married to the serpent, and the men of Israel just have to face that fact. I think it's in Joel or Hosea, where it talked about, I think Hosea talked about the women. I'm going to end on that. Hosea, where are you? There you go. Now it's talking about the nation of Israel, but you can add this into the women. Let's see here. Chapter 4 of Hosea, and it says, verse 14, it say, I will not punish your daughters when they commit whoredom, nor your spouses when they commit adultery. For themselves are separated with whores, and they sacrifice with harlots. Therefore the people that doeth not understand shall fall. And that's what happened to the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. They went into whoredom after other nations. So the women of Israel would pretty much not stick to their original husbands and commit adultery and whoredom with the serpent. But I'm going to leave it there. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.